Good afternoon. I'm here with my guest, Karen Klein. How are you, Karen?
I'm good.
Ooh, my microphone just came off. Well, you know. Thank you. Well, Karen, I'll use it this way, I suppose. Karen is founded the teXtmoVes work and the teXtmoVes works. It's the interdisciplinary intersection between spoken word and movement, poetry and dance, experimentally exploring the boundaries and connections between both. It is the goal of the collective to bring intergenerational performance works which integrate dance and poetry to diverse audiences. Now, dance and poetry have been around for a while, right? I mean, what do you bring to the plate now?
That's a very good question. What I do bring is an insistence that the poem be respected. There's a lot of text and language that's done with poem, just language, and people just saying words and making movement to it. And if you're going to give a poem, I want the poem to be respected. You can play with it, you can change things around, you can do repetition, do a little different, but it has to have an arc, and the words have to be intelligible. If you're going to use language, you have to respect language, and it has to be intelligible to your audience, to people listening to you. And so that's the one sort of stricture that I put on it. I wanted to bring the audiences of poetry and dance together. They both share the forms, the art forms, share rhythm, and they're both in the body. I think of poetry more in the voice, in the body, than I do on the page. Because to me, any poem I write is always in flux, because I can change it. Once it gets printed, whether it's online or whether it's in a book or a print magazine, that's one version. I feel I could change it. The same with the dance.
The poem is never finished, as the saying goes.
Never finished, never. And neither is the dance to a poem. Mm-hmm. People may find something new in it, and how I start with the dancers. Sometimes I dance in it, sometimes I don't. Not only my poetry has been represented, yours has, other people also. I want many poets to want their poems to be choreographed because I want to widen the audience for poetry and for dance and bring these art forms together. Not in everything. We still have poets who stand at a lectern, read their poems. We still have dancers who don't want any language if they're choreographing, and I respect that.
They say language fails us. So.
Yeah, right. I respect that. But what I'm trying to do, and the people whom I work with are trying to do, is to find all the different ways we can to make these two art forms work together. And so, of course, I mean, the original poetry probably was in song, and it was linked to dance, through different kinds of line dancing or circle dancing. We're doing more abstracted choreography because we don't want to illustrate. So if it's a poem about somebody who's hurting, we want to represent the emotionality of the feeling, not to, I'm hurting and use some sort of cliched gesture or sorrow or grief, do something like that. No, we have to find a way in movement and through movement to get to the heart of the abstraction: sorrow, grief, fear, longing, ecstasy. I mean, these are all abstracts, and you have to find in your body, as in a poem.
As in a poem,
you have to find
in things.
You have to find
right?
it
not these conceptual
not
things.
the conceptual things. You have to find the specificity of the thing that will.
You're a follower
speak.
of William Carlos Williams, right? Who said that?
You can't get the news. You can't get the news from poems. What's that in asphodel? That greedy flower. You can't get the news from poems with something. I'm in a massacre. It's sorry,
but he always emphasized things.
People
rather
have
than
died for lack of it, for the words of poems. And,
now, you were a distinguished academic at Brandeis.
Not so distinguished.
Well,
but
all right.
I was an academic.
For the sake of it.
I was an academic.
All right, so you were an academic at Brandeis, which is in Shop Liver. So how does this genesis of poetry and dance come about?
Well, I started in college taking modern dance, faute de mieux, because my alternatives were field hockey, which I never heard of. I came from Fargo, North Dakota.
Really?
Played ice hockey. Boys only played ice hockey. I never played hockey.
Yeah, just out of interest, you're Jewish, aren't you?
My father, I'm Jewish. Yes, my father was Jewish. My mother was
I'm Jewish. I ask
evangelical.
because, not because I'm a racist, I'm Jewish. But the thing is, how was it as a Jew in North Dakota?
But my family was the only family in the late 30s and 40s and maybe into the 50s that was intermarried Jewish and Christian.
Okay,
I was raised in both religions.
Both traditions.
Both traditions.
All right, let's go back.
Absolutely.
That was just a sidetrack, but go ahead. Go back to what you're saying, how you were teaching for many years, and how did this come about?
Well, it started in college, because when I went to college, we had a gym requirement. And my choices, field hockey, lacrosse, I never heard of lacrosse. Who plays that? What is it? Or modern dance. I said modern dance. And I fell in love with it. And then during college, I went to New York to study at the Graham Studio with Martha Graham.
Martha Graham?
Wow.
Give me an anecdote about Martha. She passed away a long time ago.
She did.
Yeah.
She danced a little too long, but she brilliant
lived into her
choreographer.
90s,
She lived into her 90s. She would come, we're at the bar, and we have to do a plie and go down.
Right.
And when we come up, she had fingers with nails, like talons. She would squeeze our bottoms. She said,
Squeeze your bottoms?
Yeah, so that they should be so hard when we do the plie and come back up that you can't move your butt at all. You can't pinch.
She'd be convicted
your
today,
bottom.
right?
She would. She would. And another one that she told us was that we should be able to go to wear the tightest black dress and go out to dinner and have a huge dinner and stand up from our dinner and have no wrinkles on the dress.
Is that possible?
Absolutely not.
So she was quite the eccentric, but brilliant.
She was eccentric and brilliant, and it was really, she taught me one of the best lessons I ever learned. And that was, I was taking this course for a month, and at the end of the session, was an all-day thing. The end of the session, well, not quite, like a 4-hour, she'd have us walk the diagonal. So for weeks, we're doing nothing but walk the diagonal, and I'm thinking, Debbie, why am I here walking the diagonal when, walking. But the guy who was playing, I forget if it was Carlton, who was playing the drum. First it was, then.
Didn't she go up to Vermont and had a big dance?
I don't know,
about
but
that.
I'm telling you about what I learned. Because the drum is doing that, and we are walking to that. And Martha says, take the air, and we could. So what did I learn? You have to walk before you can leap.
Okay, all right.
Goes for everything.
Sometimes cliches have a
value.
Have a value.
Have a value. Yes, she had something. And now the Graham dancers are in. Well, they just finished, I think, being at the Pillow.
Oh, okay.
They're doing some
Jacob's
of her
Pillow.
work at Jacob's Pillow. They're doing some of her work. Yeah.
Now, who has been so far? How long has this been in existence so far?
teXtmoVes?
Yeah.
I think our first performance was April 2016.
Okay, so who has been your audience, and what has been the reaction to it?
Our audience has been people who've come. We've been in art galleries, we've been in concert halls, we've been in retirement centers. Our audience has varied, but pretty much people who have some interest in the arts are people who come. The reaction has varied from people who are a bit puzzled by it. We've been in libraries, which is where I love to perform, in libraries, because that's so close to the heart of words. And then a lot of people have really liked it and found it challenging and compelling and different, and liked it being different in a way, that they feel they've learned something from it and enjoyed it.
Okay.
And then there are people, I have two very close friends, and I love them both, these two women who were both professional dancers in New York. And they don't love it because they don't love language with dance. They are dancers, and they want just to have dance. But
Is this a common attitude to dances, or you can't generalize?
I can't generalize, but you asked me about being Jewish, and I told you I was raised in two things. I always like to mix two things,
Okay.
because neither parent converted. So we really had two major Abrahamic religions going in our house.
Okay. Now, and you know, like I said, when we had a poetry reading last night, it was at a podium in the traditional way, but it's sort of like the old vaudeville, the Jewish vaudeville where people would scream, "Hey, buddy," hey, that's a good one. I like that where it's
you like that.
It's a lot. But and you say, you take it off the podium. I mean, poetry I think is more interesting in some way. Robert Pinsky does it with his jazz accompaniments, and I think it's a much more interesting way of
Ruth
presenting
Lepson
it.
does it with musicians from the conservatory.
Do you think it detracts at all from the poetry or enhances it?
I think it enhances it, but I also think that it's good to have readings from the podium where the poet talks about his or her work.
So you're not saying, right?
Oh, no.
That's a Christian, Jewish, right?
That's right. I mean, the teXtmoVes is a big tent. It's a big umbrella. I want more people to join it. It's a collaborative. I want more people, more poets, more dancers to come, because it's an alternative. It's not the alternative. It's one of the ways that people experiment with creativity.
Now, I was very privileged to have you, first of all, to have Jennifer Matthews, a very talented musician, among other things, photographer, put my poem to music, and that music you used in a dance, to a dance to my poem for my mother. Now I can't remember. Oh,
don't she said.
It's called, which I will show her when I come down. I think she'll be thrilled.
Good.
But tell me the process. For instance, let's just use this as a specific example.
Well, first one thing that it's just me and Jim Banta,
Fine dancer,
who would be the son. I'm playing the mother. He's playing the son, and give him the poem, and ask him to live with it for a while, read it over and over, get the rhythm, speak it, feel it in the body, and feel, well, what would we be doing? And then we worked together, and I made some suggestions about what I thought would be, because there's a rejection, or there's rejection in there. So it's moving away and moving toward, moving away. That's the movement of that poem.
And you've been a mother.
3 daughters, 3 grandkids.
So you know the territory.
Of course.
He's been a son, I imagine.
Yes, yes, he has.
And so there's that yin and yang.
There's a yin and yang going. And then we worked it through, and then I asked a good friend and two friends and smart dancer choreographers. I asked Audrey Albert King to look at it and critique it. I asked Joan Green to look at it and critique it before we would ever put it out. You get somebody who does their own choreography looking at yours. They know the poem, you show them the poem, and they hear it as we're dancing it, but then also they look at critically to say, this doesn't work. And I remember Joan did something very wonderful. Both she and Audrey at first were a little confused, because the embraces could look erotic, and you don't want that. I mean, this is not a romance. This is a generational parent-child thing. So you have to have a certain way. So I tried to be more helpless. I mean, let my body, instead of being the dancer body, I'm the old mom body.
The old mom
yeah.
body.
And then at the end, Joan said, we do come together. The opening of the poem, "Oh, don't," she said, "I'm down on the floor. I move away fast, and he's coming toward me." And at the end, I move back towards my son. I'm on the floor. He comes to me, comes down and sits next to me. And Joan suggested, put your hand on his cheek like that. You know, like just a gentle touch.
Right.
And I think people found that very moving.
It was very moving.
Very moving, because it was like a gesture. The mother is so conflicted about aging and about what's happening to her, and I understand that because I'm aging too, and I know what this is like. But she's kind of thanking him because he is trying all the way through. Jim is trying to help me, trying to hold on to me, trying to lift me up, and I'm resisting until at the end where he comes and I'm again doing my rejection pose, which is to move away and go down. But then he holds me and we're both sitting and I reach up to him.
And
like that. And the gesture,
the
gesture is...
The gesture is everything. And I think, this speaks to everyone. I mean, a good poem is universal. A good dance is, this speaks to, everyone who's lived, so I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it. I was going to ask you, what else was I going to ask you? You're also part of the Steeple Street Poets?
Oh, I love them.
Yeah.
Yes, they are wonderful.
Are they just strictly poetry or anything else?
They do a lot of different things themselves. One of the Rick Haynes is a beautiful artist. Anna Crebo is a musician. Robin Smith Johnson writes books and histories, and Christina does children's
So you meet
books.
once a week or something?
No, once a month.
Once a month.
Once a month. And they're good poets. They're really good
workshop.
poets. Yeah.
Workshop.
Well, sometimes we have a theme, but other times we just bring a poem for everybody. We have copies. You have to make copy for everybody. Okay. And 2 people read it. The poet reads it, and then the next sitting person reads it. So we hear the poem in 2 voices. And then we have a critique session. And it's a serious critique session. It's not just, oh, I love it. Oh, it's so pretty. No. Poets don't need that. We need, is it powerful? Does your intention come through? Yeah. Do you need that stanza?
Right.
I have a poem that I wanted to read today that they took out one stanza that I wanted to keep in.
Sometimes you got to let go.
That's right. Kill your darlings.
Metaphor.
And it turned out to be the stanza that really started the poem. And
it's tough.
It took it away.
Yeah, well, actually, to make it into a song, Jennifer took a lot. That was a much different poem.
Oh yes, she
had to cut stuff.
She had to cut. You do.
She did it well.
She did change.
What I was going to say. So I'm a poet, right? Let's say I was looking to get involved, having a poem of mine brought to dance. How would I go about that? How would I
contact me?
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of the admin, but I have collaborators, Audrey's,
and
all the dancers.
Some poems aren't right for movie.
Yes, and I would ask poets if they were interested to send me a lot of poems, and I would show them to the dancers, because they're people who've got to make them happen.
Right.
And they've got to feel a poem. So there are certain poems that really lend themselves, and then others that just don't.
So
that doesn't mean they're not good poems.
What is your contact information if someone wanted to email you or something?
Just my old email, which is kklein@brandeis.edu.
And you can find TextMoVes, one word, collaborative, online to see what's going on with that.
Yes, they can find it. We have a www.textmoves.com, which is it needs updating. That's our book about us, our website, we've done so many more performances, we've got to get that in there. But we also have the Vimeo page, which is the https://vimeo.com/teXtmoVes collaborative.
So
That's
I
it.
want you to have a chance for you to read your poems. So we got about like 7 minutes or something.
Good.
So read one of your poems or two or whatever. Well, I'll tell you when to stop.
Okay. Okay. Well, the poem that I want to read, the two poems that I really want to, well, I want to read three, but I want to read this poem that I took out of Strophe on the suggestion at Steeple Street, because I really feel that Steeple Street has helped me enormously. Okay. It's called Terra Nova. We knew we had to say goodbye, but didn't know how. Me 13, Mike 15. Summer's End, 1950. It wasn't really a romance. We hung with the group. Not a couple, but an unspoken awareness that we liked each other. Here he is on the front steps, going home to California tomorrow. Light from the household through the screen door as the evening advances. We float in a lake of awkward. Maybe he told me about his parents' impending divorce, which brought him to Fargo to summer with his grandma. Probably we reminisced about the lake in Minnesota where we water skied on surfboards across the wake as his cousin drove the swerving speedboat. This is not a date. No plans for future meetings. Our bodies knew what we wanted, but couldn't speak it. Suddenly aware of the increasingly late hour, we listen. I had played Spin the Bottle before, but that was just a game. This is not a game. Inevitably, like bobbing corks, we collide into the first real kiss for both. I didn't sleep all night, riveted between exhilaration and fear. My new body had crossed into unknown, raw territory. No way back. The angel held her flaming sword, barring my way to yesterday's me. Now, in danger forever, someday I would walk into it naked.
Always remember your first.
It's my first kiss.
Yeah.
And what I took out was that Mike found me on Facebook and wrote about it and said, he wrote a long reminisce, and he wrote, it was a chaste kiss, we were children. And then he wrote about what happened
poems don't have to be factual, right?
Yeah. He wrote about how he ran home leaping over hedges because he had kissed his girl. And that was his response. And my response was, oh my God, I've never felt that before. What is going on? I'm scared. I'm exhilarated. I'm excited. I'm scared.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's Terra Nova. Terra Nova. Another one, you know I write political material?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this
you have about 4 minutes now.
Okay, so maybe I can get a serious one and then a funny one.
Okay.
Okay, I do write some funny ones, but this one is a serious one. It's called Family Separation. And the memories came to me when I was working with two choreographers, the Davis sisters, Alex and Joy Davis, for their work for Across the Ages dance. And we were told, dancers, well, do something and bring up some memories and some movement, just anything. So I was up against a wall doing this, and my two memories came back to me, and these are the memories and things, because I was always feeling so terrible about the border situation and family separations particularly. And it made me very hard to understand how other people weren't as agonized about it as I am. I know people are very seriously worried and everything, but it just tore at me. And the memories that came up made me understand why I'm so agonized, and it also made me more empathic to people whose reaction isn't so over the top as mine is. Family separation. And there will be with this my voice all the way through, but part of it's about me and part of it's not about me. She left us. She left us in the care of a woman I hated, who loved my little sister more. I was 9. I cut a doll shape from old cloth, stuffed her with toilet paper, sewed her up, named her Frederica. A woman takes your hermanita. You run after her. A big man grabs you, yells at you. You go with the boys. You are 9. I tortured Frederica, put her between the door and its frame, closed the door on her makeshift body, pretended the faucets delivered pain, pressed her against them until I was sated. Needing her no more, buried her in the backyard. Officials, lawyers, court dates, you know the ropes, but don't know where your kids are and won't know. During our separation, my almost ex took our kids out for dinner, back at 7, but not back at 7. Unreal floating, 8. No way to reach him, 9. Clawing stomach, 10. Panics devouring lungs. When they finally come back, my skeleton breaks. She came back. I didn't. I'm not 9 now. What broke in me stayed broken.
Well, tell us about, we have a few, like a minute or two, but tell us about your upcoming performances that people might want to attend.
Well, they might want to attend December 6th at Green Street, where there will be teXtmoVes doing a couple of different things, among them, Oh Don't, She Said, and a poem by Judson Evans, The Way Things Go. And there's a trio and a quartet. It depends. We may do just one, either the trio or the quartet. It depends on how much time, because we're not the only show in town. It's not a whole teXtmoves things as the North Hill one was. Yeah. It's there'll be other dancers, other different dance groups and so on. Yeah.
And that's in when? In December?
December 6th. It's a Friday.
You may have something in November too.
Maybe something in November, but that has not been confirmed yet. So I can't speak to that until I get the confirmation.
And how about your own poetry? You have anything coming up, being published or anything?
I am working on my